let's be real. Guys and books are just better.
Exactly. So who needs a guy on Valentine's Day when I could have a Prince Charming in a book?
Exactly. Hey guys, I'm Jacqueline.
And I'm Marcella.
And today we want to talk to you guys about some romance books that you should be reading on Valentine's Day.
Yes, so if you're single like us, or if you're with somebody and you just want to read a book on Valentine's Day, yes, these are some books that we recommend that are like cutesy, not too heavy. So these books on this list aren't going to be like very angsty with a lot of like heavy things and like a lot of problems. These are just books that you can fly through.
Yeah, a lot of these are like addicting, so you can fly through them in like a day or like in one
that
sitting.
Valentine's Day weekend.
Yeah, or for the weekend. They're just really fun, lighthearted books that you guys can just go binge and enjoy, because we will be reading. I know, I'm trying to think of books to read on Valentine's Day as well, because that's what we'll be doing. The first book that we're going to talk about is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. You guys, this book was so cute. It's such a sweet, it's like a quiet romance, but it's very adorable. And basically it's about Josh and Hazel, and they're just really great friends. And they both set each other up on different dates with like other people. Like they try to like get, because like Hazel has this impression that Josh is like this perfect guy, and that she's very quirky. She's very relatable. She's probably one of like my favorite heroines that I've ever read in a romance novel. Like she's just so much fun, and she's just herself, and she doesn't care about how like out there people tell her she is, and it's very refreshing to read. But so because she's so like wild, and Josh is like perfect, like she has him on like a pedestal, so she doesn't think that they could ever like be together. And so to kind of like branch out of that, she tries to set him up on dates, and he tries to set her up on blind dates, and they both just end up hanging out on these dates.
It's so cute, guys.
It's so cute.
Because it's like, they kind of like forget the reason why they're doing it, and they just like have fun on the dates together.
Yes.
And it's like, they forget about the actual dates they're supposed to be on, and it ends up just being about them.
Yeah.
So it's just, oh my god.
Because they just fall in love, and it's so sweet, because the romance really branches out from the friendship. Like the friendship is so strong in this, and there's really good sexy times too, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. Josh and Hazel.
In general, if you haven't read Christina Lauren, we highly recommend checking her out.
The Unhoneymooners is another one that's really that just came out, and that one's just as good.
Yes. The next book that we want to recommend is Make Me Bad by R.S. Gray. I'm actually currently reading this right now, and I'm really loving it. So it's about this girl, Madison, and she's super relatable. So she's kind of like the good girl. She's a librarian. Her dad is like the chief of like police. And so she kind of like plays it safe in that way until she meets Ben.
Oh my god, he's so hot.
Oh, guys, Ben is really hot, and he's a bad boy. Yeah. So you can see where that's gonna go. So it's like the good girl and the bad boy, like that kind of thing. And yeah, this one's really fun so far. I'm liking it. And you finished the whole thing. You read it.
Yeah, I've read that one, and I loved it. And there's a lot of like librarian moments, because it's really cute, because she's a librarian. And yeah, it's adorable. And anything by R.S. Gray, I highly recommend like going through her backlist, because
and you get through those books really quick. R.S. Gray.
Yeah, R.S. Gray.
So this one won't take you long to read.
Yeah, there's just something so fun about her books, and they're just romantic comedies, and they're so easy to devour. So if anything by R.S. Gray is fantastic. We recommend you go check her out. The next book that we want to talk about is The Deal by Elle Kennedy, and yeah, her off-campus series is such a great like new adult sports romance. And this is about this girl named Hannah, and she is a college student, and she's very she's kind of like insecure a little bit about like boys and stuff. And so she has this really big crush on this guy on the football team, and so but he like has no idea like she exists and that kind of thing. And then there's this guy, Garrett Graham, who is really hot. He's on the hockey team, and he tells her basically like, I need to pass, or I need to get really good grades so I can stay on the hockey team. So if you tutor me, I'll fake date you, so that way you could get your crush's attention, and it'll like elevate her in like the social structure of college, and that she'll be all of a sudden more popular and that kind of thing. So it's a fake relationship. And
great trope. Great trope.
Really, really cute because the development is so good. It's so cute how they end up falling in love with each other. And yeah, it's like a house full of hot hockey players and they all get their own books. So
what else would you want on Valentine's Day, guys?
Yeah, the All Campus series is really great by Elle Kennedy.
The next book that we want to recommend is Boss Man by V. Keelan. So this is an office romance and it follows Reese, who she is on an awful date with this guy. And she ends up like calling her best friend to try to get out of it. And she is overheard by this guy named Chase, who is super, super hot, guys. And he ends up overhearing her and stuff. And he ends up like being a bitch to her. Like they're kind of like, they like talk before that, like in the hallway when she's like talking to her best friend. And then she goes back to her date, whatever, but she sees him with his date, ends up going over there. And he sits down and he pretends that he knows her. So they end up like spending the date together, just like talking about embarrassing stories and stuff. And it's like so funny. And then, yeah.
He ends up being her boss.
Yeah, yeah. And then it ends up like a month later that he ends up being her boss, which... Yeah.
Gotta love when that happens.
I love those. Guys, like, I've read so many office romances, and I didn't realize, like, until I was looking at my Goodreads how many I actually read. It's, yeah.
It's a fun trope. A really great historical, if you love historical romances, we recommend The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare. Anything by Tessa Dare, you can't go wrong with any of her books. I've read so many. I've read most of her backlist and I love every single one. But The Duchess Deal is her newest series and it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling and it's about this duke who needs an heir. And because he's so like damaged, he doesn't really go out in society or anything. And then one evening, this woman shows up who's a seamstress in a wedding dress, and he's all of a sudden like, okay, great, so you're gonna get married to me. And it's an arranged marriage, and yeah, he has like conditions, basically like, his conditions are, you know, we're just gonna have an heir and then that's it, like we're not gonna have anything to do with each other.
Yeah, he tries to keep it really professional.
Yeah.
Obviously that doesn't work out.
No, because she's like, we're gonna have dinner every night,
yeah.
And they end up falling in love, and it's very, very sweet, it's very cute. Tessa Dare has such a humorous way of writing, so her writing style is just so easy. If you're new to historical romance and you're maybe like intimidated or something, but you want to read one, Tessa Dare is a really great start. Like,
yeah, for
she's
sure.
So like, it's like modernized almost. Like,
I want to say my first historical romance that I read was Tessa Dare.
Yeah, Tessa Dare is a really easy like gateway author because her writing is very like feminist as well, so it's more like modernized in that way and not too much like heavy description and like history, like stuff like that. It's just really great to read, and yeah, Tessa Dare is just wonderful.
For a really great enemies to lovers book, we recommend From Luca with Love by Mariana Zapata. This book was so good, guys. So it's about Jasmine, who she's a figure skater, and so she's kind of like at the end of her career in a way where she thinks that it's kind of like over for her and she's not going to be able to compete. But then she ends up meeting Ivan and they become skating partners, and so it's enemies to lovers, so obviously they don't get along, so that's like they have to kind of figure out how to make it work and all of that.
They grew up like always hating each other on the ice, and then for her to have like her last chance, he ends up being like...
Yeah, it's cool for us too, because you guys don't know, like we skate.
Yeah, so we grew up in the figure skating world.
So it's cool to read about the figure skating world.
Yeah, but
this is a really good winter book to read too, so this will be really fun for you guys to read in February.
Yes. Another great enemies to lovers book is Top Secret by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy. This is an new adult romance, and you guys, this book is so adorable and so much fun. So it's about this guy named Keaton, and his girlfriend is like wants to liven up their sex life and tells him that she wants a threesome for her birthday. And he's like very thrown off, and he's like, oh my god, like I don't know how I'm gonna feel about that. So he goes on to an app, he downloads an app, and he's also like a frat guy, so it all takes place in like a frat house. It's really funny. But yeah, so he downloads an app and he starts talking to this guy on the app, and they start to click, and then they start kind of talking sexually, and Keaton realizes he's kind of into this, and he's kind of liking this and everything. And yeah, but he doesn't know that the person he's talking to is Luke, who lives like next door to him, like room-wise, like bedroom-wise, he's like next door, and he's also a member.
What a coincidence.
He's also a member of the frat house, and they hate each other. So on the app, they're really liking each other, but then in real life, they're both competing to be the president of their frat house. And so yeah, it's a lot of fun. You know, Keaton is really understanding a different part of himself, and they end up falling in love and connecting, and it's really, really cute and so much fun. I like plowed through this.
Yeah, guys, Jasmine has been raving about this book. I haven't read it yet, but I'm actually planning to read it with you guys next month. So yeah, I'll be there reading it with you guys.
It's really good. It's really fun. I highly recommend it.
Another great college romance book is Smut by Karina House. So we actually both read this quite a while ago.
I read this forever ago.
But I remember it was really, really great. So it follows this girl, Amanda, and this guy, Blake, and they are both in the same creative writing class, and they end up being partners. It's kind of like an enemies to lovers, though, if I remember. I don't think they really like each other too much, because she's kind of like a know-it-all, so they kind of have like this competitive vibe with each other.
But they become partners.
Yeah, they become partners for like a project, and they end up having to like write together, and they kind of start writing smut because they realize that like that sells. Like they start writing like they start writing like romance together, but like with smut and all of that. And obviously when you're writing those kind of scenes together, things happen, and it's just, I remember there was just so much tension in that book, and it was just like, so good when they're like writing it, and they're like,
there's one scene I remember,
scene you're talking about,
and
they're like writing it together, and they acted it out. Like literally they were like on a bed acting out the scene they were writing, and like it was like they were almost there, and I think something happened. It was like, oh, so close. And I remember that was just like, oh.
But they like act out like what they're writing, and like they're like saying it as they're
doing it. I remember that too. That was so,
that scene is like iconic. That scene. But yeah, that book is really cute. Another really sweet romance is Insatiable by Melanie Harlow. I recently discovered Melanie Harlow, and I love her books. Like her Cloverleaf Farms trilogy, like there's 3 of them so far. There's the 4th one's coming out in February. I'm gonna be reading that on Valentine's Day. But I am very excited about her. I really love her writing. So this book is a friends to lovers second chance romance, and it's about this woman named Meg, she's in her 30s, and her and Noah, like, they were best friends, like, in high school. When he was a lifeguard, he, like, saved her, and ever since then, they've just become, like, best friends, and their life was going in, like, 2 different directions. I think he went into the military, and she moved to Washington because she just wanted to get out of her small town. And when she was in Washington, she's like, she has a very great job, and she has this boyfriend there, and her boyfriend breaks up with her, and she's like, you know, it wasn't even really a relationship anyway. Like, she doesn't have good, like, commitment. Like, she has a lot of commitment issues, I guess. And so he tells her, he's like, you know, you need to work on your relationship with people. And that kind of sticks in her head. And then, at the time, she's going back home anyway, so she just goes a little earlier back to her small town where her sister is getting married. And she reconnects with the sheriff, who is Noah, and they end up, like, falling in love. And because they haven't seen each other in so long, they've always kept in touch, but they have more of like a steamy sexual tension this time, because she accidentally, like, at one point walks in on him, like, shirtless, like, just getting out of the shower, and she's like, oh my god, he's, like, really hot. And yeah, they end up falling in love, and it's very, very sweet. It's really cute because her sister's also getting married, so she ends up, like, inviting him to, like, be her date to the wedding, and he's like, wait, but is this like an actual date or not? Like, it's really, really cute, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really love that book.
The last book that we want to recommend to you is Praying for Rain by B.B. Easton. So this is a book that we actually both just read, and it's only 200 pages. You'll read this in one day, like one sitting, guys. Like,
I read this in a few hours.
Yeah, like I sat down, started this, and didn't stop until I finished it. It's pre-apocalyptic, so the world is about to end. Basically, everybody has been getting these dreams of these Horseman, and the date April 23rd, I think it was.
Yeah.
And so everybody just knows that the world is going to end on that day. So it takes place starting 3 days before that. So it follows Rain and Wes, and Rain in the beginning of the book is kind of a mess. She is addicted to pills, and yeah, she just has a lot of issues at home with her family and all of that. And so she ends up running into Wes, and the situation is kind of crazy. He ends up kidnapping her, and so it's kind of like they don't like each other so much in the beginning of the book. It's kind of but everything's hectic.
I think there's a desperation in this because the world's ending in 3 days.
We were actually just talking about this, how like it's awesome so how good. The author is able to, this book's only 200 pages, and it only takes place within 3 days, and the romance is so believable. Like, these two are kind of trying to figure it out together, you know. They go and they end up, you know, Wes is kind of like a survivor in that way. He's trying to find his bunker, so she ends up accompanying him, and they both are looking for this bunker. And
because she's kind of ready to go in 3 days. Like, she's kind of at peace with it, that like, you know, the world is ending, like I'm gonna die, like that kind of a thing. And Wes is just the kind of guy who's like, I'm not dying, like
he ends up like everyone else can. He ends up teaching her like to kind of survive in that
But they're
way.
like opposites in that way, where it's like super compatible, and they ride around on a motorcycle.
It's so hot on the motorcycle, guys.
Yeah, if you guys liked the YA book, The Darkest Minds, it kind of reminded me of that in a way that like the world has just gone completely insane.
Yeah, it has that kind of vibe.
Yeah, it's kind of like a dark book. This is the type of book that like if you're like angry and bitter on Valentine's Day and you want something like action packed and you just don't like, if you want something that's like
not so over the top cutesy, but
it's more something more like passionate, I guess.
Yeah,
with action packed, and there's more like, it's not just about the relationship. There is some structure with like the world as well, and like what is happening in this
society.
Are
the main focus.
Yeah, because it's still a romance novel. And so part 2, I think part 2 is out already, and part 3 comes out January 30th. So by the time this video goes up, you could probably binge all 3.
Yeah, I'm waiting to read part 2 until part 3 comes out, because I will say, like, there's a cliffhanger. It felt like, to me, it ended in like the middle of like the story, like so. I would say, like, if you are gonna read it, maybe wait till part 3 is out. That way you can just binge all 3 of them, because they are really short. But it's so good. And the romance is done, like, the progression of it. You would think that in, like, 200 pages, they're just meeting at the beginning of the book. It would be, like, instant in that way, because, I mean, like, they fall in love. So... yeah, but it's awesome. If you want like a really fast book to read that you could just get through in one day, and it's really like different because it's pre-apocalyptic. I've never read anything that's before the apocalypse, so it's leading up to something, like you know that date is coming, and it's just like getting there. That's why it's so fast-paced, because you just want to get there. It takes place in 3 days, the entire book, and definitely recommend that one. It's so good. Go read it. So that is all of the books that we want to recommend to you to read on Valentine's Day, or even just like if you're looking for really good books to read in general. Yeah, these are awesome. We love each and every one of these very, very much. And if you guys have some that we have not mentioned, let us know down below. We're always looking for more books to read. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Let us know any recommendations for book-related videos you'd like to see too, because we want to be doing a lot more of these. We already talked about doing wrap-ups like at the end of the month of like the books that we've both read throughout the month. But if you have anything else that you'd like to see, like trope videos, maybe. And let us know if you're interested in the wrap-ups too. Yeah. We're excited for this. And all our social media is in the description box below. Thank you for watching. Bye!